Well, what's up? Happy Saturday, family. As you guys know, we are tuned in either live or on the recording to TGF Book Club. And I'm excited to continue our discussion on Rich Dad, Poor Dad, lesson 2, which is why teach financial literacy. And then lesson 3, minding your own business. So I honestly, this these two chapters are extremely powerful. And there's a whole lot within them. So one, it's not as many people as last week, so I won't do a little 3-minute timer, but you know what I'm saying, like, recognize that we're probably not going to even cover everything that was completely talked about in both the chapters. There's just no way. There's way too much value, and my man snapped over the past couple chapters. But I'm really excited as we dive further into it because, y'all, financial literacy builds upon itself. So the more intentional you are with it, the stronger your basis of financial literacy becomes, because not only will you become aware to these principles, but as you start applying them, you get to understand these lessons at different perspectives. So in terms of the chapters, does anybody want to kick us off? I high key. Okay, let's go, Amber. Appreciate it. I high key am excited to hear everyone's intake. As you guys know, it's popcorn to whoever you want. And then yeah, let's get it.
What's up, y'all? I do not have much to say, to be honest, because there's I guess so much to learn. Like, for real. This is my first time ever actually reading this book. And so, like, I've heard a bunch of these, like, the principles before, like, just throughout my journey. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. The only thing that was like that kept sticking out to me in chapter 2, out of the many things that I know that I deal with, and that is something that, like, I have to be, that I'm excited just to be more conscious about, is the fact that it's not about how much money you make, it's about your patterns. And the more money that you make, it's just going to increase the pattern that you already have with that money. And that's very, very true. Like, I've seen that firsthand in my life, like, this whole time. To be honest, I'm just like, increasing, and then the bills increasing as well. And, of course, like, we're not victims. It's not, anyone to blame but myself, having the same mentality, even, like, very, very subconsciously. So that was just one of the biggest things that stuck out to me in chapter 2, and learning about the difference between a liability and an asset. Very important. It says, if you want to be rich, this is all you need to know. Rule number 1. It is the only rule. This may sound absurdly simple, but most people have no idea how profound this rule is. Most people struggle financially because they don't know the difference between an asset and a liability. Rich people require assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets, said Rich Dad. And then he goes on to talk about how, like, if you're a well-trained accountant, then even the definition of a liability or an asset, like, really doesn't make sense to the average person. And that stuff is, like, really, really true, because even some of the questions that they were asking me here, like, as boys, like, how come no one knows this stuff? Like, how come if it's so important, like, not many people know? And that's really the attitude that I had for a long time, like, especially when I was younger. Like, I didn't get how no one else got that we had to learn, like, and, like, learn, personal development and learn this stuff. But I see now that, it's really not taught, and how, like, the system is not really created in our favor to win in this type of way, so we have to go out of our way to learn, to study, to ask certain questions, to put ourselves in the room, to sit at the table, and to really put the pieces together. So obviously grateful for book club and, all the systems that we have. And so then in chapter 2, it talks about minding your own business. And one of the paragraphs that I highlighted was, to become financially secure, a person needs to mind their own business. Your business revolves around your asset column, not your income column. As stated earlier, the number 1 rule is to know the difference between an asset and liability, and to buy assets. The rich focus on their asset columns while everyone else focus on their income statement. So again, just continue. I'm just excited to just continue like to study this stuff and to really apply it and make it very, very like applicable. I felt like whenever I was younger, I had like a limiting belief that I didn't need to study this stuff because I wasn't making any money, so I didn't have any money to manage. But that wasn't true. That was not true. You know, I have my little $10 an hour that if I learned how to manage that, manage more. But we're here now. It's all good. But that's all I got to say. I'm excited for what everyone else has to say. Honestly, like, is this these chapters are so dense, like so dense. I'm like, 1 week for just these two chapters, not enough. I'm gonna have to listen to it 100 times. So that's all I got to say. Want popcorn? I want to hear from Roshi. Hey.
Hey guys, um, I don't know what to share about. I feel like it was a lot too. I wrote a lot of notes for chapter two, and then for chapter three, I just listened to the audio while I was getting ready today, so I took only a few notes. But the first thing I wrote down from chapter two was about how the quote, retirement does not mean not working. We can work or not work, and our wealth grows automatically, staying ahead of inflation. Our assets are large enough to grow by themselves, like planting a tree. You water it for years, and then one day it doesn't need you anymore. Its roots are implanted deep enough, and the tree provides shade for your enjoyment. That part stuck out to me a lot because um I don't know. I love trees, first of all, and so it just the metaphor impacting me because if you like the reading says the quote says if you put those roots down and you take care of something now, it will it will grow into something that can take care of you later, and financial literacy is a lot like that, and I um like Amber said, and a lot of people I'm sure can relate, I wasn't taught anything about this financial literacy stuff. Um, I'm just now learning, like a lot of this feels like stuff I should have been taught in school or growing up, and I feel like lied to, and I feel like betrayed. Because why am I 26 years old and just finding out this information? But I'm grateful to know it now, and I want to be able to plant seeds so that my trees can grow and take care of me later in life. Like I'm not trying to be like my grandmother who's like 73, I think. She doesn't work anymore, but she only doesn't work because she used to do in-home care for like other elderly people and her most recent client passed away. But like she's been working her whole life and she would still be working if her client did pass away, you know? So and I just think about that. My mom too. My mom is just she was just telling me the other day how she has this plot of land that she owns and she can't afford it, so she's trying to sell it. And I'm like, I tried to ask her like, why don't you ask yourself how you can afford it versus saying you can't afford it, but she was like, no, I just can't afford it. So I have to figure out how to sell it. And it sucks. My family is like that, but I want to break those generational curses. And so um I don't know. This reading is the next part I wrote that was um too focused on money and not focused on their greatest wealth, their education, which I can relate a lot. I've been just obsessed with money and let money you know take power over me in my life, and I'm very much what the book describes, like when I think I can get more income that will solve my problems, but I know now I'm learning now that it's not about the fact that I don't make enough money. It's the fact that I don't manage my money well. And the part about the digging the hole stuck out to me too, because he said if you're digging a hole, then if you find yourself digging yourself in a hole, just stop digging or something, right? And I need to stop fucking digging because I keep opening up credit card after credit card after credit card, but it feels like it's my only option because I don't have enough money to pay for all of these expenses that I have incurred. But then I'm looking at it like I need to figure out how to cut these expenses and figure out how to invest into these assets that the book is talking about and what can I put my money in that's gonna give me more money because the things that I don't know, it was kind of like mind fucked me when it was talking about what a true asset is, because I've always viewed having a home and a car and stuff like that as assets, and now I'm just like, that's not really what assets are. He clearly explains it with the things that are assets. And yeah, so I guess that's really cool that we're learning about trading and stuff too through TGF, because that's a way to, like use it. That's a way to like gain an asset, you know? Um, I'm sure I can say a lot more, but I don't want to take up too much. Kelsey, you want
Cool. Morning, fam. Yeah, these two chapters it didn't take as long as last week, but definitely jam-packed with a whole lot of information. And I definitely agree with what you were saying, Ro. But yeah, one like reminder that really helped me was in chapter 2, I think it was, when he just simply broke down the difference between assets and liabilities. And the boys were sitting there trying to be like, well, what is it? What is it? And he just simply put it out as, liabilities take money from your pockets, assets put money into your pockets. And after listening to it again, I like had the realization, I truly don't think I knew the difference or was told the difference probably until I was in this industry. Growing up, it's kind of the expectation, I guess you could say, to you get your job, you save up for a car, you save up for a house, but we're not taught kind of everything else that comes along with those things. And I think this is my third time reading / listening to this, and it always stresses me out when he was talking about the young couple who got the house and everything, and how he just broke down everything that they were like, we want to get a house to have a family and everything, but they didn't know about the property tax. And then like Amber was saying, as your luxuries, so to speak, in life go up, so do your bills. And I think another part that really stuck to me is when he was talking about assets and stuff, he said, every dollar that goes into your assets does not come out. And it was kind of cool to hear it again, how he said like every dollar that goes in now turns into an employee for you. And that's something that, because I've seen people put things into assets, but then they take it out, put it back into, and it doesn't ever really do anything for that person, even though you think it might. But yeah, and it is unfortunate, because he was talking about, why do people not know about this? Well, when people get to a certain age, when you're young, you're open to everything simple. But, when you get to a certain age, you've learned certain things, you don't want to believe that things are that simple. But as I think Amber talked about it, as your paradigm about money stays the same, it doesn't matter how much money you make, because you're going to have the same problem. If you're sitting here saying, everything I get, I go spend, well, then you get $1 million and you spend $1 million, and then you probably have the same problem multiplied. So, yeah, again, I have a bunch of stuff as well. We could almost do a two-week book club on these two chapters, but yeah, that's where I'll stop. Imani, you're the only other one with your camera on, if you have anything to say.
Yeah. Let me. Okay, so I definitely agree with you, Kelsey, when you dang, okay, I forgot, but that's okay, because I like what she said and it made a lot of sense. So for chapters 2 and 3, I'll start with chapter 3. because a lot of y'all been touching on chapter 2. I'm gonna get to that as well. For chapter 3 though, this was the first time when I read this book, that was one of the chapters that stuck out to me the most, because it was mind your business. And I know y'all have heard that story, mind your business and your business will mind you. I believe that's how it goes. Yeah, so that whole idea, I've heard it for so many years, like just trying to understand how the wealthy get wealthy without really understanding like that same thing can apply to me. And that's what she said. It's like keeping it simple. Keeping it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. I love and hate that phrase, because you get this understanding of how simple things truly are. And like you said, that's what you said, Kelsey, that I agreed with. Is like, we get older and we kind of feel like things aren't that simple. But in reality, like there's formulas that have been built that you can just keep repeating, and it works because it's worked before. And kind of like how he kind of repeatedly says in the book that this book is super old and these issues are still relevant today. I mean, if anything, the gap is widening more and more, just like he said back in the 50s, or his rich dad said back in the 50s. So that's really important for us to, truly mind our business. And in chapter 3, he talked about McDonald's, and McDonald's, not gonna lie, terrible food, terrible for you. But the fact that they own all their properties is wild. I know there are some franchise McDonald's, but if it's a corporate one, they're purchasing the land. So it's not like they're just having this place. You know what I mean? It's a burger place. But at the end of the day, it's a real estate deal, So you're getting the land, that land appreciates, that value, the equity. You use that equity to buy something else. And usually it's another asset. So the versatility in your portfolio is a huge way to create the wealth and keep the wealth, as long as, like in chapter 2, okay, I don't know what that sound is. Can y'all hear that sound? It's like a okay.
Yeah.
My bad, y'all. Okay, so going back to chapter 2, when it is talking about your assets versus your liabilities, as somebody who grew up not knowing financial literacy almost at all, I saw, like, my grandfather owned a business. He used our home to fund the business, and then he died. And then he died. And then not only did we lose the house, but we lost the business. So we lost it all, y'all. And to this day, that burger place that my grandfather owned is still up and running. It's just in somebody else's name. That house is gone. Like, that's the house I grew up in. Gone. All of it gone. So it's really important to be wise and conscious about what, like, your house is an asset if you're not really living in it, but in the case of, like, you're using your business, your house, to fund your business, you better know what the hell you're doing. Utilize it in the right way. Exactly. Can't just go out there and die without an insurance policy. You feel me? Love you, grandpa, but damn. Anyways, that is, like, really important to me, because learning the financial literacy, and that's what he says, that financial literacy, people are unable to keep the money. He's seen couple after couple they pay off their debts, they're in a good place, and then all of a sudden there is a reason to use that credit card again and again and again. I've done it myself. This book is coming at a time where it's like, this book is coming at a time for me that I just came from, having some off time. And I'm not going to say my journey is happening the way that it's supposed to be happening. This book is no coincidence, because it's coming after, like, me being off for so long. Hold on, y'all. How the hell do I do this?
How long?
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay, but so I definitely, he says it, keep your day job and then acquire as many assets as you possibly can. And like the list of assets that you can gain is just almost infinite. Like money is in such abundance that it's not really this fear thing that we feel like that people over time, over the years, currently feel like it is just so scarce. It is nowhere near scarce. It's so abundant. Like the fear has to be cut out to keep ourselves out of the rat race. And that is so important to do. I even if like I had a part-time job during my hiatus of just, living my best life, it would have been, I would have been in a better position now. And unfortunately, I didn't do that. So it was a hard lesson to learn that I really didn't need to learn the hard way. I put my money in good places. I just know that I could have done better about my money had I really like taken the time to, well, just keep my financial literacy up. So it's really important to have that understanding, that knowledge. That's the only way, which is crazy, but it's not crazy. Just it's the only way for anyone to continue to learn how to and what to do with their money. When you get it, you want to keep it, you want to do, and not even keep it, like put it in good places that's going to continuously make money. So that's my biggest takeaway from this because I relate to it so much and I'm fighting to break that officially forever. So this book is coming in at a great time. Like I said, I just got to break through to the other side, y'all, but I'm close. And this book and us talking about it right now is like all on time. So I'm really grateful for that. I am going to popcorn Matt because you turned on your camera. I think you're ready.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, y'all. I was at the store trying to get me a little C4 for this workout. But honestly, I'm gonna just dive into basic chapter 2 right now because like my life, if y'all don't know, me and my wife are closing on our house next Saturday. So blessings on that, you know what I mean? And we had this goal of literally just to at least get into a house by our daughter going into kindergarten. So we're like a month late, but it is what it is, you know what I mean? We got it in and it's crazy. A lot of people nowadays literally just want to get in a house and either one, stay in there forever, or two, just sell it to get a new house, maybe a little upgraded one and make that like your forever home, you know? And for me, we didn't do this purchase to do that. We did this so when we have enough home equity that we can pull out, we can go make different moves, go get more properties and actually just rent out the space that we're going to have, you know, and literally have cash flow coming in. And if it wasn't for this book, reading this book, when did we first read it? Like 2 years ago, Marcus? 3 years ago? I literally wouldn't have like any idea of doing that. And I wouldn't have, like, I would literally, we're always taught that one thing, you know, you want to go get a home, build a family in it, and live there. And, you know, some people do that, great. You know, if that's their goal and that's their big like life achievement, that's amazing, you know. But for me, after reading the book the first time and the second time, it just literally puts a different perspective on like truly you can either make something like a house either a liability or an asset depending on just how you utilize it, you know, and how you actually can earn cash flow, how you can actually use debt in your favor so you can go make more income on top of that, you know. And it's crazy because all of us were thought that debt's a bad thing, all this is bad, but it's literally like the complete opposite if you just utilize it in the right way. And you don't know this unless you're around like specific information like this book, to actually change your perspective on everything, you know. And it's crazy because my wife, she's going back to school to be a teacher. She wants to be a kindergarten teacher, and literally in one of her classes that she's doing, she was reading through like the syllabus stuff, and she's actually going to go over this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, through one of their classes, and it's literally going to explain like I know one of the essays that she has to do is how she first thinks about money, one, and then after reading the book, how it changed her perspective on everything, you know, and uh, it's just uh, we're just taught growing up, unless you're around the right information, unless you grow up wealthy, um, one thing, you know, and that one thing literally keeps, I guess, the workers, the people that, I guess, keep the economy going, to actually think of just one route of how to do things: go to school, get good grades, so you can go get a good job, go to college, all this and that, you know. And there's different ways on how you can actually become successful in this thing. You just have to really know the difference between a liability, between an asset. And it's crazy, a lot of people, even in their 30s and their 40s and their 50s and their 60s, they still don't exactly know what it is, you know. And um, that's why, like, I know every single time when we either present specific information to people or we talk to people, we literally give them uh, a recommendation. Like, you should honestly go read this book if you've never read it, because it'll literally change everything, how you think about money, how you think about your time, like all this stuff. Uh, and like, I know, I forgot who said it. I think it was Amber or it was Ro, about like being a bad spender and not managing your money and stuff like that. If you're gonna be a bad spender when you're making $20 an hour, you're gonna be a bad spender when you're making $200 an hour, when you're making 200,000 a month, you know. And it's always gonna carry on unless you change. You know, you gotta get a different perspective. You change your reality. You change how you look at things. You change how you spend your money. You change on what you're actually investing into. You literally just want to have, if you're wanting to become wealthy, I'm not talking about money, but like in any aspect of your life, you're going to have to change a couple things. And if you're a bad spender, you're going to have to go in through your finances. You're going to have to look at yourself like in the mirror, be like, oh shit, I didn't need to go buy that $100 Shein order or that $300 Amazon order or something like that, you know. And I say that because I can't wait for my wife to read the book. She be spending a lot of my money, and it be low key pissing me off sometimes, because I be telling her, I was like, babe, I get it, you know, it's here and there, but it all adds up, you know, and we can go put that money into something else. So in the long run, we're gonna have more income, and this, it won't really like matter at that point, because we have certain cash flow that's coming in every month that's paying for all the expenses, you know. And yeah, I can't wait to read the rest of this book again, because it literally puts you back into that mode. And because I feel myself sometimes, like Amani, like my financial literacy, I find myself sometimes spending money when I really shouldn't. And it's just really, this book makes you, like I said, makes you look at yourself like in the mirror and be like, okay, I got some things to work on. I got some stuff I can do differently. And it's like you said, it's the perfect time for me as well. And shout out TGF, because I feel like everything, like every book that we read inside of like the book clubs, and I know I'm not on every single week, and I'm trying to get better at that. And I'm gonna get better at that. But you know, every time like I hop on, it's always in the time of like my life to where like I need it the most. You know, so shout out TGF, shout out Marcus and Mikhail for actually getting all this stuff situated. Shout out y'all for actually being plugged in and actually wanting to learn more and actually learning more, so you can actually go change your future and change your reality. And you know, the best is yet to come. And yeah, so I will pass it to, I think, Mama. If you're free, you can take it.
I
Or
got you,
Marcus,
son. Thank
whoever.
you. Marcus can close it. He's such a good closer.
Hey, Mama Mary, are you gonna go?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I just
Are you
want to, after you go, I just gotta say one thing, and then Marcus, definitely close it out.
Okay, or you can go right now too if you want.
Okay, well, I just wanted to throw out that, like, the whole idea of financial literacy is so important because Matt, you're getting this home and you have your child and your sister has her child. And Marcus, you're, the leader, you're teaching, you're helping your family grow, which is such a beautiful thing with TGF. And congratulations on your house, by the way. Woo, 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 woo. Really happy for you. It's really it's such a beautiful thing to own a home. And I just want to even shout out my grandpa because I know I was like saying like about the whole, you have to make sure that you're using your business, utilizing it properly. So it's just now I know from him having this entrepreneurial spirit of like, I'm going to start a business and it's going to be something important. I respect the hell out of that. Okay. Woo. Use me recording. My bad, y'all. I respect it so much. And I know there's so much of him in me because I have that same spirit. My family members, before my mom's generation, which is crazy, everybody owned a home. So when my grandfather died, things could have been better, but that was a learning lesson for me to like break the cycle of like the ignorance, the financial ignorance, because that's really all it is. So I just wanted to say that. So, my grandpa won't be looking down like, oh, you're just going to be talking. No, I'm not. I respect it all. Thank you, guys.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Imani. Just to touch back, Matt, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you and for the decisions that you've made this far. It's crazy to me to see the things that are coming into fruition, um, which are things that we talked about in the past, and not, like I knew if you got a home, that meant you had good credit, that, you were doing good, you were making good money. Because where I came from, you know, my grandma, my grandma's house was everybody's house. And that's the meaning of a home to me. And so like when I read this book and it talks about a home being more of a liability than an asset, like he said in the book, it's more of an emotional type thing when it comes to comparing getting a home, whether it's an asset or a liability. And to me, like I feel it's all about how you make the home, despite if you are putting out money. Like I know I need to buy a home because my son is the first one in our family to buy a home. I'm not ready. I'm so scared. I am so scared to buy a home. So like I see him taking this leap of faith and I know I could do it as well. Um, and it's so funny because me and Matt, we're similar in a very, very lot of ways. Especially with our significant others. They have spending habits. And we are in different wavelengths when it comes to that. So like, I tell my husband too, you got to read this book. You've got to read this book and we've got to be on the um same format, same link for us to be able to get what we want, to buy a home and then turn it around 5 to 7 years and, get that home equity and then you get somebody living in there and then they end up paying where you're at. That's what I see. But I feel like sometimes I want the forever home. But I know in my 40s, I'm already in my mid 40s. So like time is not on my side right now, the way it is for a lot of you, guys and girls on the call. But just me going into my third time reading this book, it definitely, like, I'm not on these book clubs a lot like Matthew is, but when I need it, I'm there. It just works out that way because, a lot of us are going through it right now. We're going through it and it's hard. It's hard. But it's so true what they say in the book about, the schools not helping. like they discourage creativity. You know, they help create only good employees instead of employers. You know, we don't learn, I didn't learn stuff like that. And this is why, and I think my girls are so over it because they feel like I am a constant life lesson, sentence, conversation type of person that I just want them to learn and not suffer, you know, with what it's going through right now. And I tell my girls all the time, like they don't really even know how hard it is because they've never seen it the way the boys did. They don't know what that hard and when we get into a little bind, like all hell breaks loose. And I don't want them to feel that way, you know? So like the things that I try to teach them that I've learned off books that I read or, you know, audios that I listen to, I have to, as a mother, as a parent's point of view, who have growing children, you know, growing children and young adults, young men who are out here, you know, one leading the family, you know? So this book is amazing. This book is, I love to be able to see how this book has like changed our conversations at the table when it comes to my family. You know, um, they've been different the past few years. And I know it's only going to get better. So Marcus, I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to you. Thank y'all guys for your time. I hope you have a blessed day.
Whoa. Whoa. It's gonna be kind of, yo, it's kind of surreal. I'm not gonna lie to you. I recognize that great things really do take time. And regardless of the fact, despite challenges being there and things being difficult for everybody in this season, like I've seen the people who have been on the journey with me, especially my family, supported me from the moment I started in entrepreneurship, just take progress and like actually build upon the things that we're getting exposed to. Because at first it is overwhelming. At first it's like extremely daunting because you become so aware of things that you were unaware of, and you become burdened with this choice because ignorance is such a bliss. I hate that statement, but it's actually true. Like you don't know what you don't know until you know it. But once you know it, like you decide. And that's the power of like actually utilizing your mind to create the life that you want, is that recognition to accept the truth, the reality that you find yourself in, and then choosing to do different. And yo, I just shout out God, shout out everybody on this call currently. Everybody who has been a part of TGF throughout the process, because, and my mom's right, our whole conversations are different. My focus has grown different since the first time I picked up this freaking book when I was 20. My circles, my conversations, my problems. I don't know who said this. I think they said more money, more problems. It might have been Roshizi, but facts, you know what I'm saying? And it's not even the fact of more money. It's just you got to understand that with more value, with more responsibility, with more tasks that come with accomplishing a specific goal, like you're inevitably going to run into larger problems. And that's what the wealthiest people on the planet do. They just professionally solve problems. And I wanted to touch on some things in the book that no one had touched on because, like we said, there's fat and value in these chapters. But a lot of it ties in with everything. So I was high key trying to go like earlier. I was hoping someone was going to call me. I didn't want to close, But it's all good because I think that was purposeful. Because sometimes like I be getting called like second or third time in, and then sometimes like I'm like literally the very end. So you never know. Shout out book club with the popcorn. But here's what he said. And it was at the beginning of lesson 2, and this is the most important part. That if you always remember exactly what it means, then you'll always be able to go and create it and have access to it and maintain it. He goes, I caution them that in the long run, it's not how much money you can make, it's how much money you keep and for how many generations you keep it. Like Imani talked about, RIP, yo grandpa, but actually being able to be in a space where he was like actively doing the things, even though he might have not passed down the business to the generations, he passed down some habits and some ways of living, you know what I'm saying, that honestly influenced you guys just by doing it. And that's what I want y'all to recognize as well, because a lot of what he was talking about is that money is not real, y'all. Like, it is literally printed every freaking day. And right now it is trusted as a number on your phone screen. It is a agreed upon societal concept. It is not real. So if you accept the truth as Robert Kiyosaki has, you can utilize it as a tool the way that the wealthy do. And you can recognize that everything really starts with your thoughts. As I've read this book 5 times, what I've noticed about the structure and how he's introduced the concepts of the book is he literally zones in at the very beginning on check your mindset. Like, what's your perspective? Is it can I actually make it happen? How can I afford it? Or is it there's no way I can't do it? I'm afraid. And it's so surreal to me, y'all, because when he prefaced that so that you could understand throughout the aspect that the principles based on terminologies and things that are simple, as you guys talked about, from the cash flow to the asset accumulation to reducing the liabilities to diversifying the portfolio so that you've got assets buying assets, and then from there you can have your assets purchase your luxuries. But most people get it twisted because the poor and the middle class go straight to the liability because they want the looks, the lifestyle, whatever the case might be. And he spoke about it like we're literally in a game. The number, this is in the chapters, the number amount in your bank statement, your financial statements is showing banks and creditors and society and the financial economy how well you're playing the game. Point being is you've got to understand the rules of the game so that you can get ahead of it. You might not like the way that the game is set up, but if you've got to understand how the game is being ran so that you can then make a difference. Otherwise, you're just complaining. And it's high key some things I've had to like recognize, y'all, because I had some anger issues with wealthy people. I honestly believe the narrative that the Matrix told me. And through the process, I saw my people struggle. So when I'm going after trying to figure it out, I recognize first and foremost, like, yo, I got to change my mindset because it's not about me. And that's what he's trying to get people to recognize. Like, yo, I think he brought up the fact how like when people come into money, they start spending, and he cautions them that money without financial intelligence is money soon gone. So be mindful about where you're putting your bread. He says that money does not solve money's problems when most people think they do. We heard that in lesson 1. And then he wrote, intelligence solves problems. 3 powers, the power of sword, the jewel, and the mirror. I don't know if y'all remember this, but the sword symbolizes the power of weapons. The jewel symbolizes the power of money, and the mirror symbolizes the power of self-knowledge. The mirror is the most treasured of 3. I don't think it's coincidental that the mirror is designed for you to look at you, because to gain more knowledge and to accept and to apply, you have to self-accept a lot of the stuff that you're mentally doing or putting yourself in. It's okay to be in debt because you have the mindset of it. You can either be extremely upset that you're in debt, or you can be like, well, I'm in debt and I've got to go and figure out how to increase my cash flow so that I have assets pay off for my debt. Otherwise, you're going to remain where you're at. He then speaks about, boom, I thought I'd bookmark it, but he spoke about it specifically. And the reason why I wanted to bring it up is it wasn't coincidental that he stated that, boom, I really don't expect most people to agree with it because your home is an emotional thing, as my mom talked about. And when it comes to money, high emotions tend to lower financial intelligence. I've heard it from mentors literally say, when your emotions are high, your rationale, your thinking is low. Emotions are temporary. They are literally neurotransmitters that go from one part of your body to the other and cause a physiological reaction in your body for a period of time. It is not consistent. Your body would be overly stimulated and you would die because it's an excess of energy. So you got to recognize that that emotions are nothing else other than small things that come through and feel really big in the moment. But what he's saying is financial wealth is not attainable without financial literacy, and you don't have a chance of grasping financial literacy if you don't grasp your mind, if you don't grasp your emotions. And that's what trading, investing, you all hear about it. You got to fight things like greed. You got to fight things like doubt. You got to fight things like wanting to go against your game plan and seeing about the what if rather than staying disciplined and consistent. Like, you've got to conquer your mindset above everything else. Otherwise, you literally don't stand a chance. And you might grab the income for a little bit, but he just told you guys, like, money does not solve problems. And at the end of the day, your income level will meet you at your level of personal development. So it's this fine line of utilizing what it is you're doing, but also continuously working on your mind. And I feel like sometimes we get way too caught up in our emotions. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I do too. And I have to continuously remind yourself, boy, get out your feelings. You're on a mission. Like, literally, get out your feelings. A lot of the situations and conflicts that arise too come out of emotional states of mistruth, misunderstanding, miscommunications. But if you learn to regulate your emotions and operate in choice, responsiveness versus reactiveness, you can literally utilize your money as a tool because you've taken the psychology of it and you've separated money to being this thing that you have to go after. Most people are continuously trying to chase money, and that's why it'll always run away from them. You've got to literally be in a space where you attract who you are, the things, the situations, the circumstances, the resources to get where it is you want to go. Like, it's literally wild. I told Imani from the first time I met her, I'm like, girl, I do not believe in coincidences. Give me a hug. It was at the vision board. I remember that. It was almost a year ago. But it was lit. And from that point, like, we built an intentional relationship through book club. Y'all don't even understand. Imani, a real one. There's one time, ain't none of y'all show up. And we were vibing, me and Imani, chopping it up about the book. We wrapped it up. You can go catch the recording. I keep receipts. But I love this. I love your energy, girl. And I appreciate a lot of what you said because you got to recognize every one of you guys are extremely intelligent. Every one of you guys are more than capable. And at the end of the day, money is just a resource. And you've got to recognize it's also a necessity because regardless of the fact, that's how the world is working. It's the game. So recognize the rules of the game, master your ability to actually go and carry out the parts. You can be in the last 10 seconds buzzer beater type of situation. The pressure is high. Your back is completely against the wall and you don't know what it is. You got to make this work. But at the end of the day, you got to recognize that despite the outcome, whether you win or you lose, whether you gain or you have a loss, you have to wake up the next day, God willingly, and run the play again so that if you made the dub, you can build on the dub. If you took the L, you can grow from it. And that part allows you to build up your network. Yo, I've heard a lot of wealthy people speak, and all of them are just diligent, straight to the point. Remember this one guy, he was like, yeah, have you ever been poor? Have you ever been poor? He's like, no, I've been broke. I ain't been poor. It's a mindset, y'all. You've got to recognize that your funds are in transition, and what you're attracting is what it is you're believing. So the last thing I wanted to touch on was in lesson 3. And when he said, start minding your own business, keep your daytime job, but start buying real assets, not liabilities or personal effects that have no real value once you get them in your home. A new car loses nearly 25% of the price you pay for it the moment you drive it off the lot. Keep your expenses low, reduce your liabilities, and diligently build a base of solid assets. For young people who have not left home, it is important for parents to teach them the difference between an asset and a liability. And I did not learn until I was outside the home. Regardless of the fact, you still have an ability, y'all, to go and build up these assets. I just want to touch on some of these because you guys have access to them. And a lot of you guys are already building up your assets because you're generating streams of income. God is good. 1, businesses that do not require my presence. I own them, but they are managed or run by other people. If I have to work there, it's not a business, it becomes my job. I had to take a little reality check. But as we've been automating some systems, you know what I'm saying? I've been literally beating this message in not only my head, but in those I've come into contact with in our organization. You do not rise or fall to the level of your goals. Everybody has big goals. You rise and fall to the level of your systems. If you have systems, you can save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. And what we've been focused on over the past 365 something serious has been systems, period, point blank. And people are utilizing systems. And once you have the automation in motion, then you can go and continuously have a cash flow revenue because you remove yourself from the operations. It's literally how wealthy people build businesses. So shout out TGF, shout out all the partners and everything that's been coming in because it's something serious. Stocks, trading, you guys know the vibe, crypto, the whole 9 yards, bonds, income generating real estate, IOU.
Question. What is an IOU?
It's like an insurance policy, I believe. But I might be thinking of IUL. I don't know. We can look that up though. Hold on. Royalties from intellectual property such as music, scripts, and patents. Anything else that has value, produces income, or appreciates and has a ready market. We're all proud position in a space where you have 1, awareness, and 2, an ability to do something about it. If you wake up and you recognize that, you'll either understand that your day was designed by a choice of you doing those things or choosing not to. And when you recognize that everything adds up to where it is you truly want to go, you'll make the choice that best benefits what it is you prioritize. And boom, the last thing he said was, he says, after you've taken the time and invested in and built your own business, you are now ready to learn the biggest secret of the rich, the secret that puts the rich way ahead of the pack. And that leads us into chapter 4, which is understanding how to leverage the taxes. And it's high-key crazy. I know he left us on the cliffhanger for real, but recognize, y'all, that the financial struggle is a direct result of people working for someone else all of their lives. Do not get caught up in this race, y'all, that you're just trying to match your expenses. He literally reminds you that you need to focus on things that are going to grow your cash flow so that you have income generated by assets. And then as you go and accumulate and diversify your assets, then you have your assets pay for your luxuries, but your luxuries should be dead last. 1000%. Like, cool, if you want to ride around in the Lambo for a rental, that's fine. But we're not talking about a $10,000 a month type of income through one stream. We're literally talking about what wealthy people get. I'm talking about multiple 6 figures on a weekly basis, multiple 7 on a weekly basis. There are people that are generating that type of cash flow. And if you look at what they do, they don't buy luxuries for clout. A lot of them just be dressing vibing. If they want to go and rent out a yacht for the day, they can, and they will, because they can. Like, it's genuine. It's different. It's a tool designed for you guys to use. And high key, it's why I'm like, despite America's problems, I'm still grateful to be born here rather than anywhere else. And it gives us an opportunity to have the ability to go generate the same cash flow that the wealthiest people on the planet have. And he lays it out for you. You just got to have a willingness to like understand it and apply it. But yeah, I mean, last thing, I guess we can look at the IOU thing real quick. Boom. 1 second, love. What is an IOU?
I want to say something after you talk about that.
For sure. Is a written document that acknowledges a debt that promises to pay for it back. An abbreviation, it's literally an IOU. So it's like a document that you made an agreement with someone. Love.
Why are you speaking with that accent?
Thank you. Actually, thank you for saying it like that, because I just wanted to just express to you that it's just such a beautiful thing to have a different accent, just, you know, have somebody
I
come
appreciate
with
it.
that energy. Thank you.
Sometimes it's lonely, for real, love. But
Never lonely.
we have the global family. And Amber, it's powerful creator. The floor is yours.
Amber.
The conversation always gets on and popping, like after I say something. But one thing I wanted to say that like I thought about that I heard a couple years ago and it always stuck with me. So yeah, so like in the process of us, you know, becoming conscious and aware, there is a period in time, I guess in the beginning, I never felt like this, but I know all the other people have, and like Marcus said that he had, like just this like hate towards rich people. And one thing that I really want to say as we're in this process is we have to protect ourselves from those kind of conversations, because you will never subconsciously allow yourself to be something that you hate. And so people who hate rich people aren't going to be rich. And so talking to them and entertaining those kind of conversations isn't gonna help you. And so I don't. And so I just wanted like to say that, like every time I meet somebody like has this whole lore about how much they hate rich people and all the thing, I don't even engage in the conversation or talk about it. You know what I mean?
No,
Because
that's a gem though, for real though, because you can't, like, you literally attract what you want by becoming what you want. So you there's no way you can become rich if you don't want to attract that.
exactly. And like
Yeah.
even people who like are close to me, like my dad is like very much like that, but you know, like your thought process is a result of I mean like the fruit, like your life's a result of your thoughts, the way that you think, you know, and it just is what it is. And then another thing that someone had mentioned about our emotions, and one of my mentors had mentioned this a couple of years ago, like one of her audios, but she had just said it like very clearly. She's like, a lot of times the most emotional people are the most broke people, because we make big decisions based on our emotions and not off of, you know, logic or things that make sense. You know, we're like emotional spenders or emotional eaters or emotional this and that, and we spend money to like make us feel something, make us feel better, versus actually, you know, doing the work to heal and to, you know, to ourselves. And one more thing I wanted to say too is all of us are, you know, becoming conscious, and we have to forgive ourselves for the mistakes that we made in the past, forgive ourselves for not knowing this information, forgiving ourselves for even knowing better and not doing better. You know, forgiving ourselves for not managing our money well, even though after we know better. And that's something that we have to do every single day, you know, and that's something that I'm, you know, doing myself. So even like have like that frustration with yourself, like man, I wish I whatever. Just let it go. It's fine. You know, it's a day, and there is enough time for you to create the life that you want and do everything that you want now. That's all I gotta say.
No, that's real life. And I appreciate the insight, because at the end of the day, it really just comes down to you being, you know what I'm saying, like willing to actually accept a lot of what just Amber just talked about. The emotional regulation comes through repetition and practice, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like we all, it's so funny. I love watching kids because they learn how to express their emotions from like little scratch. So like when they're very angry, they're trying to express like what they're feeling, but they don't know how to talk. So they're like their facial expressions, their actions, they're flaring, you know, if like, or even when they're happy and they love something, it's just one of the most amazing things about honestly, in my opinion, like human anatomy and how the body works, because we're literally just people trying to figure it out and help our kids. So through everything that we're doing, y'all, like it comes with time and intention. So if you want to be good at it, you will be. As Rosizi talked about, emotional intelligence is something that is difficult to grasp because it's really not taught as often as it like I don't feel like it's ever really been taught as consistently throughout at least American culture, especially in lower socioeconomic areas, just because most people are reactive rather than responsive. But we're gonna read Emotional Intelligence 2.0 very soon. Yeah, 100%. I've actually seen some people in, I guess, our generations who are becoming more aware teach their kids how to regulate and direct their emotion so that they can feel it, like let it go type of vibe. I've seen some stuff, but it's definitely not as prevalent as it should be all across the planet. So one, it takes some intention, so you got to implement it. And then two, I appreciate y'all closing out the book club on this beautiful last day of August in fall. Fall's around the corner. Shout out Hook 'em Horns. We about to go and get this dub today. But next week, to start out September, we're reading chapters 4 and 5. Shout out you guys for actually reading the stuff. Now, make sure you guys are doing the best you can with where you're at and what you got to implement the things that he talks about, and just staying consistent. Y'all, you are more than welcome to invite whoever you want on this type of call as well. I high key let everyone know, especially because we're reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, that they're tripping if they're not on the call. Because this is literally, I was like, bare minimum, don't even hop on the call. Just go listen to audio. I'll shoot it over to you. I don't care about you just hopping on this book club. I care about you getting this information because it's high key, like the starting point of being able to have a strong grasp understanding of the basics. Like he got taught this from his rich dad as he was kids. So he's teaching it to you in a way that kids can understand it as well. And it's lit. So just a little side note for anybody that loves their nieces, nephews, and children or future children. Rich Dad Poor Dad has an entire like kids series too. So it breaks down stuff in like cartoon books, little activities. It's actually really cool. But anyways, much love, y'all. Hope you have a blessed rest of y'all Saturday. Appreciate
Bye,
you,
y'all.
everybody.
Have a great day. Oh,
Yeah.
excuse me. Hope, hope, cheerio.
Bye.
Bye,
All
everyone.
grace. Much
Say
love.
your affirmations.
Ooh.
Confirmation.
Say your
Affirmations. Much love.
love
Have a
y'all.
good evening.
Bye.